Hello, I'm Mark from My Italian Travels, and today I'm going to show you how to find a cruise, how to use one of the biggest cruise booking company's website, and how to also find your shore excursions. I've gone ahead and pulled up Cruise Direct on the internet. I use Cruise Direct for all my cruises when I go on them. I have a link to their website on My Italian Travels, which is my travel site. And I like them for a few reasons. I like them because they represent pretty much every cruise line that there is. You know, you can go through them to get a cruise anywhere in the world. And I like it because you can compare prices from one cruise line to the next. You can compare destinations from one cruise line to the next. Because if you could take a similar cruise, if you were taking a Caribbean cruise, and you could take a cruise on one line and take a cruise on the other line in the exact area, and you might not be on any of the same islands. So that's why you want to compare things. You might know of places that you want to go that you've heard of, and maybe one cruise line doesn't go there, but the other one does. So that's why you would want to use this site to compare, and that way you could get a better idea of what type of cruise and where you want to go. Sure, you could compare by going on the individual sites, cruise line sites, but this is just so much easier, and it's faster. And one of the other things that is a big advantage is Cruise Direct has their own shore excursion companies. So you can go through them for shore excursions, or if you book on, let's say, I'm going to use the example of Norwegian cruise lines. If you book Norwegian Cruise Line through Cruise Direct, anytime you want, you can go to Cruise Direct and look over their shore excursions and book one, or book all of them, or because you're booked on Norwegian, you can go into Norwegian's website and look at their shore excursions, because there's a lot of different ones from one company to the other. So that's a big advantage that you get from going through Cruise Direct, is it gives you a lot more options on shore excursions. I'm going to give a quick example of looking for cruises, just basically, and then I'll get more in depth. But if you look here, you can see that for the next year, there's going to be 16,432 cruises that you could possibly take within the next year, all over the place, because everything here is listed as everything. So what you want to do is, before you get on here, you want to at least have some kind of an idea of where you want to go. So you would, when you do figure out where you want to go, you can come up here. I mean, a lot of people like to go on Caribbean cruises. So you can come down here, and as you see, it has Caribbean, Eastern, Southern, and Western Caribbean. Well, if you click on Caribbean, there's 5,151 cruises that's going to happen within the next year. That might be way too many for you to look over. So if you know that you want to hit certain islands in certain areas, well, then you would just go back and say, well, Eastern. And then when you do that, you only have 800. And what also happens that eliminates a lot of cruises is once you start filling in your parameters, let's say you want to go next, let's say next May. Now it drops down to 36 cruises. That happens in May. And the reason that you wouldn't really want to click any of these is because you want those left open so you can compare. Then the next thing you do is you come up and you say, oh, I like 7 to 9 day cruises, and you click on that. And that's going to eliminate a few more cruises. So you get the idea that you just go in here and you change things around. But what I'm going to do is I want to show you more details of looking for your cruise and everything on a European cruise, because I've been on a lot more of those than I have in anything else. Although everything that I'm going to show you works everywhere, it's just easier for me because I can do it faster over there because I've practiced on it. So I'll just click over to that in a second. Okay, I've wiped this clean from giving you the quick example. And now I want to go in and get more details with going to Europe. So I want to go in here, set my destination, and like the Caribbean cruises, if you just click on Caribbean, you're going to get a lot. If you can narrow where you want to go in Europe, it'll make it easier. You'll have less things to look at, but I'm just going to say Europe because then it's going to give me a lot more options. I still want to use the month of May. I'm still leaving this open. I'm going to say cruise length of 7 to 9 days. And when I go over here, it's going to show me all the departure cities, which is the city that the cruise leaves from. It doesn't necessarily mean that's where it's going to end, but that's where it's going to leave from. So you have all these options. So if you know where you want to start, then it makes it a lot simpler. Well, I want to start from the port from Rome. I've been on some cruises there, and I've liked all of them. So I fill in those parameters, and I just click on search. And then once I get to this page, it's going to show me all of the cruises that start in the port from Rome for the entire month of May. So then that gives me a good starting point. And I just want to drag this over a little bit more so I can get more of the rest of everything in the page. And what you do is once you're here, you just start to scroll. You look at the name of the cruise line. You look at the port cities that they're going to go to. Because, for example, this is going to be a 7-night cruise. And you're going to be you're leaving from this port city. You're going to go to these towns. So maybe you look at that and you say, well, I don't want to go there. I want to go to Florence, and you don't see Florence on there. So you just go up, and here's some other ones, and you see, okay, here's a cruise that's going to Florence. It's from Norwegian Cruise Line. Well, you can just do the same thing. That's their base price. That's usually the price for an inside room, which doesn't have any windows, and obviously it goes more. The price increases as you go to different places. Sometimes the outside cabins, they usually call them suites, which has windows but no balconies. A lot of the times those go fast because people want to see, but they don't want to spend as much money as a balcony or as with a suite. So you just look through that. You look at the next one, see what places they're going, how many nights it is, and you just do that for all of them. If you have if you know that you want to go to specific places, like this place here, this is going to go to some places in Greece, and that would be an alternative route because it's going in a little bit more of the eastern part of the Mediterranean, even though parts of it is considered Europe. But what I want to do is I just want to come back up here to the one that's going to Norwegian Cruise Line. And I'm going to use that one for an example for quite a few things that I'm going to show you. Since this is the cruise that I'm going to use as my example, I can come down here and I can see that I have all these little options. Some of them are drink options and dinner options and so forth. You can always look at that anytime you want while you're on their site. And I've decided that I want to go on my cruise on this date, and it doesn't matter whether you click here or click there. It's going to take you to the same page, and it's going to take you to this page. And I've already got my my ages and a few other little bits of information plugged in here, because if I want to see all the cabin prices and what kind of cabins are available, to have to fill that in. They won't let you go any place past that. So I want to check cabin prices. And sometimes this goes real fast, sometimes it's a little bit slower, but I want to take and pull that over a little bit, and it's going to show you how the cabin looks, what the price is. Some of them are suites, some of them are just rooms with balconies, some of them are family type suites, and they'll explain all that stuff when you go in to look at more and pick different things when you're looking through their website. It gives you more information. If you click on this, it's going to show you more room options also, so that gives you more availabilities. So I'm just going to use this as an example. Like I said, I'm just going to pick this one, so I'm going to say choose my cabin. It's going to give me this page, and it's going to ask you if you want to upgrade. Well, basically the upgrade is going from an inside room to an outside room with a balcony. And it's the same for that, and it just tells you what the difference prices is again. But I don't want to. I want the room that I've picked, so I'm just going to select, and it's going to give me this page whenever it shows up. Sometimes it happens fast again, and it's going to tell you what your overall price is based on what each person's going to pay, and then you just come down here, and because you're going to be on a cruise to the Mediterranean, and actually a lot of the cruises doesn't really matter where you're going because you're always going to be going to a foreign country. You need to fill in your name, address, and all your information here because it has to match your passport. And you know, if you're just looking right now, you don't have to fill in any of this stuff. This is the stuff that you fill in when you're actually getting ready to book your cruise. So then when you are ready to book your cruise and you've picked out the room that you want, the dates that you want, then you just fill this in and you come over here and you click my cruise and everything's finished. Well, now that I've shown you, just run you through that part of it, I want to go back a couple pages, and that way I can show you how to get your itinerary set up for your shore excursions. And you can do that by coming over here. It shows you your itinerary, shows you which ports you're going to and what order they're going. So you just come over here and you click on View Shore Excursions, and then it brings you to this page, and you can look at individual ports, what their shore excursions are. Now you can't book any of these before you book your cruise because none of the cruise company won't let you, and neither will Cruise Direct. But Cruise Direct also has their own shore excursions along with each one of the cruise lines. So what you do here is you just say, okay, I want to see what I can do in Florence when the ship docks in that port. So you just click on it, and it's going to go through the whole list of shore excursions. And I happen to know that Cruise Direct, for the most part, has almost only private excursions for the port that goes to Florence, and it goes to, you know, this place Cinque Terre, it goes to Lucca, it goes on to Pisa. You can do just one or the other, but if you see it says starts at, well, that's if it's a private tour, then the starting point is with a lot of people, depending on if you have a large group with you. So I'm just going to find out what it would be. So I click over, and it's going to tell me with 2 people. This would be an absolute private tour, just two people. It would be $742. Well, then you could, if you're going to go with a group of people and you think you want to go on that tour, well, then you just go over here and you click on 10, and that'll give you what your starting price is. But you know, if you don't want any of these tours from Cruise Direct for that port, well, then you know you don't have to take any of them. You can bop over to the cruise line's website and look at their tours. But I'm just going to go down to another one. I'm going to go down here to cons, and as you can see, it has a normal tour. This one doesn't say starting price as, and it doesn't say private. So you can look at some of the tours that they have, and you can come down and this is the there's also some private tours available, you know, through Cruise Direct for this port also. So you can pick one. If you don't want any of them, well, that's fine too, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you how to compare by going back and forth from the cruise line and Cruise Direct to see if there's any of the tours that you like from one to the other. I've switched over to the Norwegian Cruise Line's website. That way I can show you how to find shore excursions here. All you have to do is scroll down, and this took me a while to find out. Just click on details. It's going to give me this page, which is real similar to the one you would see on Cruise Direct. It shows you the cruise route and so forth, gives you your ports that you're going to go to. I'm going to come over here and click on Florence. It's going to give me a little box that says more details, and you have to click on all this stuff just to get to where you're going to look at shore excursions. Then it's going to give you the page that's going to give you more information, and it's going to show you the shore excursions at the bottom. Unfortunately, sometimes with the cruise lines themselves, they don't post the shore excursions this far in advance. Now, it's not a big deal because it's beginning of October. The cruise isn't going to be until May, so I have plenty of time once they post it to look at it. It's just the fact that I can't do anything about it now. I can't look, I can't compare anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back over to the Cruise Direct site and show you some other things that I can do. I'm back on the Cruise Direct's website, but I really want to show you how to compare um, shore excursions from Cruise Direct and Norwegian. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Norwegian site, and I'm going to do that right now. And I've discovered a way to get in to see their shore excursions. If you just go over here, get rid of your date, it's going to let me get in to what I want to see. So I just come back over here, click on details, and it gives me this page again like you saw earlier. I want to look at Florence. I want to click on more details, and it's going to bring me to the same page that earlier showed me nothing. Now it's going to show me the top excursions in Florence, but I want to see all of them. So I'm going to go over here and click view all things to do, and now it's going to show me all the shore excursions that I couldn't see before. And like I said earlier, I said that most of the time they don't change shore excursions from one time to the other. Now almost all of their shore excursions are normal shore excursions where you get on a bus. I've asked them a couple of times, why does it stay starting from, where the private tours always say starting from, and they tell me that they don't actually run the shore excursions. It's through a company that they hire, and they put that on there just in case this tour company changes the price. So for the most part, if you're booking this and it says 240, that's what it's going to be. But you can go up and down, you can see what is available, and you can go back to Cruise Direct and see what they had available. Now we saw that earlier, that almost everything that they had was a private tour, and the cruise company that's running things for Norwegian obviously has quite a few more tours that you can go on. It's not always like that, but a lot of times it is. But what you just have to do is you come in and you just look at what there is to do. You can, and at this port, you can go see Florence and Pisa. You can go see Cinque Terre. You could just see a museum tour only. Whatever you want to do, you just pick it out and you book it. Now you can't book any shore excursions from the cruise line or from Cruise Direct before you book your cruise. They just won't let you do that. So that's something that you might want to keep in mind. Now I want to compare a few other things, so I'm just going to go from here. I'm going to go back a page, and I'm going to go. Well, I'm going to have to go back 2 pages, but I want to go and show you a comparison between Cannes, France from here and Cannes from Cruise Direct. So that way you can get a better idea of how to do this. Now they're going to give you their top 3. You just click I want to see everything there is to do, and it's going to give you quite a bit more. And here's theirs, and as you can see, there's a lot of stuff to do. And I'm going to click back over to Cruise Direct and go over to their setup again. I want to go back to Cannes, so I have to go all the way to their shore excursion page. Here's Cannes, view excursions, and you can just go back and forth. They might have something similar, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the exact same tour. So you just look at it, and like I said before, a lot of times the tours from Cruise Direct, there's going to be normal tours and there's going to be private tours. You just have to look and see what you think you want to go to do, and then that, if you don't see anything here that you're interested in, then you could just go back over to Norwegian and say, okay, well, I like this tour or I like that tour. One thing that you want to look at also while you're doing this is look at the activity level. Like for example, this one, it says it's a walking tour, and it says activity level is 3. So you come over here, and it's going to tell you a little bit more about it, but at the bottom it says recommended only for physically fit and adventurous travelers. Well, that would tell me that you have to be in decent shape. So if you're 65, 70 years old and weren't in such great shape, that's probably one of the things that you wouldn't want to book. So you would just go through and look at other things and figure out what you want to do. There's a lot of different kinds of tours to choose from. And like I said, you can't really do anything about it until you're just about ready, until you've booked your cruise. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind. A few other things that you can do and consider is whether or not you want to book all of your excursions from one place or the other. But that's the whole point of comparing. That way you can say, okay, I found 3 from each company that I like the best, and from the other company, and then that way you can mix and match. That way you can have the best vacation you can have. And you'll be able to do this as soon as you book your cruise. That way you'll get your confirmation code. Once you have a confirmation code, then you'll be allowed to book the tours and book all your excursions. But for example, like I said, you might have 3 that you want from Cruise Direct and 3 that you want from Norwegian. And it's easy to do. You just book each one separately. It's convenient if you could do everything at once, but you can't really book Norwegian's excursions on the Cruise Direct site. You have to go directly through Norwegian to get those. It's kind of goofy that you can book your cruise through Cruise Direct with Norwegian, but you have to do the excursions through Norwegian unless you're doing excursions through Cruise Direct. And it just makes it easier. Now, that way you can tailor things to what you want to do. And maybe like I said, maybe one of the places has a tour, an excursion that you like, and the other one doesn't have one like that. You might end up with excursions on both sites that you don't like, and it just gives you, it gives you the opportunity to find out if you want to do something from both or something from one, or you don't want to do anything from either in that particular town. It just gives you the options to be able to look. The last few things I want to go over are reasons why you want to do all this stuff online. Well, because you can do it from the comfort of your home. If you go on the cruise, of course you could book any of the cruise lines excursions while you're on the ship. You can't do any of the Cruise Direct's excursions on the ship. But do you want to stand in line trying to book something from every day that you go on the ship? I mean, you can go and stand in line. I've done it before I knew what I was doing with cruises, and you go look over the list of things that there is to do the next day, and you go down to where you can book the tour or book the cruise, and a lot of times you're going to be standing in line for half hour, 45 minutes, and sometimes when you get up to where you're going to book it, you find out that you've been closed out because that particular excursion is already booked full, and then you have to stand there and try and figure out if there's anything else that you want to try to do. And it just makes it easier. Usually you're going to book your cruise months ahead of time, so that's going to give you plenty of time to be able to figure out what things you want to do, what you want to see, and it's going to be a lot smoother. It makes it easier. It's going to be less stressful because when you're on vacation, you don't really want to stand in line. You want to grab your tickets and head wherever it is you're going to go. It makes it a lot easier. Also, each cruise line, they have their own way of getting to their shore excursions. Now, I like to do the way I did it here on Norwegian because I like to go to the itinerary page and then click on the date and the place I'm going to be, and it pulls up the excursions that's only going to be in that port. Where you could also go here and you can click on excursions, and it's going to show you every excursion for every cruise that they have. And then it's just, it's just not as easy. It's, for some people it can be frustrating to try to sift through all of that. So for me, it's simpler to do it online and simpler to do it the way I showed you, as far as the individual places that you can look at your excursions. I also put this video together for benefits for my Italian Travels website. All of the stuff that I showed you is going to work anywhere in the world. You could also, if you have more questions, I have a really good cruise page on my site, and it also deals with booking a cruise in conjunction with a longer vacation, and it explains how to do that. Another thing that I want to go over, and I have to go back a couple of pages, and that way I can show you something that's really important. Go back to the itinerary page, and this is something that you would want to look at also, because for example, this particular cruise starts in Rome and it ends in Rome. So when you go to make your airlines reservations, you can land there and leave there. Well, you could also take a cruise that's going to start in Rome and end in Venice or Barcelona. You might take a cruise that leaves Venice and ends up in Athens or some other place. So when you're looking at the cruises, you always want to look at your itinerary to see where you're going from and where you're going to land and take off from and where the cruise ends. That way you can say, well, I want to leave from the same place that I'm landing. Or you don't mind making different reservations with your airlines. So that's another important thing, because you can't just automatically assume that you're going to come and go from the same place. So with that in mind, hopefully I've shown you a lot here, and it's going to make it way easier for you to book your cruise. This is information you can use for the rest of your life, for every cruise you go on, because you're going to know how to do all this stuff. And it's going to make it a lot easier, a lot simpler. You can relax and take your time, and then when you're ready to book everything, you'll have all your research done as far as everything that you want to do. So hopefully you've got all the information you need. If you need anything else, you could go to My Italian Travels. It has more information on the cruise page, and you can get to Cruise Direct from my site, and hopefully we will see you there. Have a good day.